Oh my god, this really takes me back hearing that. This is the first game I ever played on a Commodore 64. When we went to the shop to buy the Commodore 64 back in 1985, I remember my dad was shocked at the price of it. And I was just going to buy the computer, and the chap in the shop said, well, we'll throw a free game in for you. And he gave me Ghostbusters, which I was absolutely delighted with. So, yeah, this was the first game I ever played on a 64. And it's fair to say I spent hours playing this game and drove my parents mad with this music and timing, pressing the space bar so it shouts Ghostbusters to the little dot that dances on the lyrics. Just so many happy memories. And yeah, absolutely brilliant. This is such a cracking start to a game. And of course, this was only a year after the actual movie came out. And the movie was massive. I remember seeing it at the cinema and being really excited when we got it on VHS tape. So let's get started. Let's see if I can remember what to do. So this was programmed by one guy, a very famous video game designer called David Crane, who did things like Pitfall. He did quite a lot of games for Activision back in the early days. So let's just put our name in there. The one thing I do remember about this opening is the car that I always used to buy, which was the hearse, because I think that's the only one that looks very similar to the car that they drive in the actual movie. So I've never ever used any other different car. I've always ended up buying the hearse. There it is, number 2, 1963 hearse. That was the only car I ever used to buy. So I'm not going to break tradition. I'm still going to go ahead and buy that car. And there it is. Now, what do I buy? PK energy detector. May as well get that because it's fairly cheap. Image intensifier, not sure what that does. And marshmallow sensor. As we get towards the end game, the marshmallow man appears, so I think we need to get that. I need lots of traps. So, and that's a little vacuum cleaner for sucking up ghosts. So I think I used to get 3 or 4 traps. Should we get another one? Maybe I'll buy... I'm sure I used to buy 4 traps, because you have to keep going back to the headquarters to empty them as you start catching ghosts. Right, so this is, if you've never seen this before, I'm amazed, but this is the map, and the flashing red building means there's ghost activity there. And I seem to remember the purple means there's going to be ghost activity there. So it's like a forewarning. So this is a little drive your car segment. Nothing really happens at this point, but in the map screen, there are little yellow ghosts that float in from the corners of each corner of the screen. And if you touch them with your car, they freeze. And then when you get to this point in the game, you can suck them up. It'll all make sense when we get to that. So I wish you to drop the trap in the middle, position him over to the left, and then bring up this guy, and then hopefully trap the slime in between the 2 beams. And then we can set him in the trap. Let's try it. Oh, I crossed the streams. Oh no. Total protonic reversal. Oh, that wasn't a great start, was it? Oh no. Well, this is my first shot at playing this game in decades, so you've got to forgive me with that. We'll try and do better as we go forward. So those little yellow ghosts coming in, we've got to try and drive over them. I need to go back to headquarters to get some more men. So I've just singed those 2. They're in hospital. But lovely, lovely little game. A very simple game. There's only... You've already seen everything this game's got to offer. Just in the space of a few minutes. But it's the charm of it. And this was the whole world to me when I first got this. And I think it's a terrific introduction to the whole gamut of Commodore 64 games that are out there. It's just brilliant. Right, let's do this again. Trap in the middle. And then you can stand over this side and try not to bring the streams too close. Yay! Got him! Fantastic. Ghostbusters! And so that's one trap used. Alright, there's another one. So if I head over to that building, and then what I'll do, if I remember on the next run, is drive over some of those ghosts so we can suck them up. Because what happens is the ghosts are making their way towards the Zool building in the middle of the map. And for every ghost that enters that building, the PK energy reading at the bottom of the screen gets higher. And the game starts to speed up and the ghosts start moving more quickly. So let's run over that one. And you see how it's stopped in place. So what's going to happen when we get to the driving section? We can suck them up with the vacuum cleaner that's on the car. Here we go. So let's see if there's any ghosties. There's one. So you just suck them, you just hold the fire button and suck them up as you drive past them. So you don't get any kind of benefit for doing this. You're just sort of stopping them from entering that Zool building. So we're pulling up at a building that doesn't have a ghost there because that wasn't flashing red. And so let's just see what happens. Go back to the headquarters and may as well, seeing as we're right next to it. Yeah, so this is the game. Very, very simple. A pretty decent rendition of the Ghostbusters theme that's continuously playing in the background. This was the thing that really made the 64. After owning a ZX Spectrum, the 64 had chunkier graphics. The graphics weren't quite as finely detailed as the Spectrum was. But you had more colours, so it definitely looked nicer on the TV. And you had things like that, very, digitized speech, and it had a 3-channel sound chip, the famous SID chip, and it was just really good at doing music and sound effects. And yeah, it was just a real treat of a machine. It was fantastic. I remember that because I bought one quite early in the 64's lifespan, that mine was what they call the bread bin version, which was like a beige coloured box with dark brown keys. I'll just pop a picture up here actually to show you. And it had a problem with the power supply. I remember having to take it back to the shop that we bought it from a couple of times in a year because the power supply kept failing. So I'd go to switch the computer on and it was just a black screen. And so that was very traumatic as a teenager wanting to play video games, to have the computer duff out like that. But again, much like I said with the Spectrum, piracy was rife in the 80s. And in 1985, I'd be in the last year of school. I'd be in the next to the last year of school. I left secondary school in 1986. So I had a number of friends, a close circle of friends, that luckily my best friend, he also had a 64. And he was an only child, so his parents bought him a lot more games than my parents bought mine, because I have 2 sisters and I had a brother. And so we were only a working class family, so we didn't have as much money to spend on these things as we could have. But I don't look back on my childhood and think that I had a poor upbringing. My parents always bought me everything that I wanted, and I'll always be thankful for that. So I did get quite a lot of games over a short period of time for the 64, thanks to my friend and a few other people that we knew at the school. But I do remember having quite a few number of original games. I certainly did have quite a lot of 64 originals. Games like Paradroid and Uridium come to mind. There's so many. There are so many decent 64 games that it's hard to just sit down and list them. But certainly as we evolve on my channel, I'll be doing a lot more 64 content. So I hope you will like that. I'll try and sprinkle them in along with other things, so you don't get overrun with just Commodore 64 stuff. But suffice to say, it was a machine that I always look back on very, very fondly. And luckily, the emulator that I'm using to do this is an emulator called Denise. That's fantastic. It's a recent find. I was using a different emulator only until recently, but this particular emulator does the 64 and the Commodore Amiga, so you kind of get two machines in one bit of software, and it's a beautiful little emulator. It's so simple to use. It's very, very easy to set up, and I'll do a video showing the actual emulator and the background part of it at some point. Right, let's have another go at catching this ghost. All the while I've been playing and I've been talking, I don't know whether you've noticed, but I've been catching every ghost now so far. So the only misstep we've had is the very first one. So I'll keep doing this for a few minutes, and then, as I say, the gameplay is very simple and it is very repetitive. So what I will do is I will continue playing it, but I will speed the video up and we'll try and fast forward more towards the end game, so you can see how it unfolds. So we'll just catch one more ghost and then I'll do that. Let's just keep going for the moment and I'll keep talking. So yeah, it's always a shame with the drivey part that if you don't run over any more of those yellow spirits, you've kind of got nothing to do except wiggle the car left and right. Right, come on, Slimer. I always think he looks like a green peanut. Yay! And then we get the Ghostbusters! And I can't overemphasize how exciting it was to hear real synthesized speech coming from your computer. I mean, nowadays you don't think of it at all, but back then in the 80s, it was just phenomenal to hear your computer talking to you in a real, albeit very grainy, but it was a real voice that had been synthesized. And me and my friends always found that really, really fascinating and just very interesting. And it's little things like that that just add to the enjoyment of the game. Right, we'll just catch this one last ghost and then I'll stop talking and keep playing, and then we will come back as we get nearer to the end game and the PK energy reading gets higher, because then the Marshmallow Man will start appearing and we'll see if we can beat him. So just get to this last location. Yeah, this is always my favourite car, just as I say, it looks like the one that's in the movie. Right, that looks like the hotel that they visit. Oh, damn, I messed up. Oh, gosh. I thought I'd messed that up there, but I just pressed the button without even thinking and caught it. Right, I'm going to stop talking and then we will keep playing and we will come back as we get near the end of the game. Right, welcome back. So I've been playing for about 50 minutes and we have got a lot further in, got a lot more money, and I've been catching a lot of ghosts. And the Marshmallow Man has already appeared and he's smashed some of the buildings there that you can see on the map. In fact, there he is again, smashing another building. When he appears, I can't seem to move my little Ghostbusters symbol, and I can't remember why, if that's just how it was. You'll see that the ghosts are moving towards the Zool building a hell of a lot faster now, and we're just getting to the point where we'll have to confront the Marshmallow Man. So we'll see if we can do it as I make this recording. But I've really been enjoying this. I've been playing it for, as I say, the last sort of 50 minutes. And it's just brought back a lot of memories from when I first played this as a 14 or a 15-year-old. I can't remember exactly when, in 1985 I first got this. But there he is again, smashing up another building. Unfortunately, this is costing us money, as we're having to pay for all of the damage that he's done. So all the money I've been earning through catching all of these damn ghosts, he's completely taken it away from us. So I had about $18,000 at one point, and now I'm down to 5,200. And so as you can see, the ghosts are going, oh, what's this? The Keymaster and Gatekeeper arrived at Zool, ending the game. You didn't make enough money, so the bank has foreclosed. Better luck next time. What? Oh. Oh, right. I've got absolutely no idea what went wrong there, what I did wrong. I remember the end game was a big marshmallow man that you have to confront at one of the buildings. But for whatever reason, that's not happened. I must have done something wrong. I think what I'll do is I'll do some Google foo, and I'll just put up a message at the end of this video just explaining what I did wrong. So I'm sorry about that. A bit of a Debbie Downer ending for this video, but yeah, interesting. So stay tuned, and I'll put up what I did wrong.